Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I am Patrick Stewart. I'm the CEO of the Library Foundation, and we're very appreciative for the opportunity to reconnect with you and share some updates on our progress of our Libraries and Parks for All initiative. I do want to remind you that we will have a Q&A after a couple of presentations, so please, if you'd like to ask some questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will address them later during the program. As many of you know, this effort started roughly a year ago, and together the Library Foundation and the San Diego Parks Foundation are committed to finally identifying real long-term solutions that will ensure that our most beloved facilities have the resources they need to serve our community. When funded at sustainable levels, our libraries and our parks create innumerable opportunities for community members that improve our quality of life, strengthens our communities, and it builds social connections across political and socioeconomic divides that the health of our democratic society and institutions need to thrive. Our parks and our libraries provide safe places for children after school. They provide free educational programs that create economic opportunity. They provide marginalized and vulnerable communities culturally affirming spaces that empower collective action for positive social change. And they provide senior citizens and those with disabilities fun, safe places to socialize and build community. These environments prevent the negative health consequences of social isolation. Recent research has even shown that communities with stronger social infrastructures are better prepared to face natural disasters and severe weather events, all of which we know is becoming more common. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but as you can tell, my colleagues and I are passionate about this issue. Every San Diegan deserves a quality public space, and as I recently shared with Lisa Halberstadt at the Voice of San Diego, the grade I would give our public spaces sadly depends on where you live in the city. This drive to create a more just and equitable San Diego, where everyone has equal access to the critical public resources that can transform someone's life trajectory, is what inspired the Library and the Parks Foundations to advance this work, and I could not ask for a better partner than our colleagues at the San Diego Parks Foundation. We are formally launching the signature gathering effort on July 9th to qualify for the November 2024 ballot. The ballot measure will impose a 2 cents tax per square foot of a parcel, not to exceed parcel sizes over an acre. So that means the average taxpayer would pay roughly $100 a year or $8 a month. The most any commercial or private parcel would pay, again, the maximum of 1 acre or approximately 43,000 square feet is $820 a year. But again, the average taxpayer is going to pay roughly $100 a year or $8 a month. This is a modest amount to ensure that our communities have the resources to thrive. With that, I'm going to introduce Ryan Klumpner, our political consultant that has been engaged on this project. Ryan will share what a citizens initiative is and the process for qualifying for the ballot. Ryan is an expert in his field. He has worked on countless political campaigns locally. He has won national awards for his work and is widely respected in this arena. Ryan.
Thank you, Patrick. It's great to be here today with all of you. As Patrick alluded, it's a significant political and financial lift to qualify for the ballot via the Citizens Initiative process, and I'll describe that to you a little bit. If it's successful, it makes the campaign much easier in the sense that it only requires a measure like this to receive 50% of the vote. And for comparison, if a measure like this was to be placed on the ballot via the city council directly placing on the ballot, it would require a 2/3 vote. The difference between success and failure at 50% versus 2/3 is enormous. In the past 20 years, there has not been a successful revenue measure at the 2/3 level, but almost all of them have exceeded the 50% level in the process. So what is a citizens initiative? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a process that allows San Diego voters to bypass the legislative body that enacts laws and enact laws directly. Under state law, initiatives qualify through signing of a petition by a certain percentage of the registered voters. In San Diego, the city law requires initiative petitioners to include signatures of at least 10% of the registered voters, which means that in order to qualify, right now, we need to collect 82,566 signatures. But since many times you have duplicate signatures or people that are not registered to vote, we need to realistically collect at least 110,000 signatures to safely qualify. The law allows the clerk to use a random sampling to validate those signatures of at least 3% of signers on the petition. And if that shows that we have at least 110% of the valid signatures, then we qualify for the ballot without any further auditing. However, if it is fewer than 95%, it fails. And if it's between 95 and 110%, then the clerk has to do a full count manually, which can take up to 60 days. So what is next? We are timing this to be as cost effective as possible and position us for the 2024 ballot at an ideal time before that ballot gets crowded with anything else. And so we will be circulating the signature starting in early July. And we'll be doing that via paid signature gatherers, which when you're dealing with a requirement of this scale, you really have to use paid circulators in order to get that number. However, a critical component of this will be volunteers who will help supplement those paid signatures. And so volunteers and all of the organizations that are supporting this measure can get petitions themselves, have friends and family sign up. We can even have volunteers out circulating in places like just outside of libraries. And so all of those will help control the cost of the signature gathering process and build grassroots support for the measure in general. Thank you, Patrick. That's all I've got. And I think we're going to Jerry next.
I do, before we move on, I do have three very quick questions since we have you. One, you had mentioned the percentage of signatures that we need to get. What is the number when we apply rather than the percentage? What's the actual number that we're shooting for?
So the number that we're shooting for, the legal requirement in order to qualify is 82,566. But in order to safely reach that number within the audit parameters that I was describing there, it's 110,000. So in reality, we need at least 110,000 signatures.
Got it. Another quick question for you. What is the approval history for parcel taxes in California cities? You talked about revenue measures have passed above the 66%, but what's the parcel tax history?
Yeah, so I don't think I have an exact percentage of looking at all parcel taxes across the state, but in general, it is very high. And one of the things that is kind of peculiar about San Diego when you look at parcel taxes across the state of California is that many places that are far more conservative than San Diego have passed multiple parcel taxes during the same period of time that San Diego has never passed one. So places like Visalia, Fresno, this has become a key way that they finance parks and libraries in those places, and San Diego has not yet utilized this.
Fantastic. And then the last question for your expertise specifically, how are apartments and condos assessed in the parcel tax? Multi-unit.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact answer on this. We looked into this. I believe that it gets broken down by individual units. So just to be clear here, and what I can say for certain is that you are not assessed on the entire square footage of that whole parcel. It gets it is the same as any other parcel, and it gets split up amongst the units proportionally. Fantastic.
Brian, thank you so much for working with us on this with us, and thank you for taking your time to fill us in today. Now I'd like to invite my colleague, Jerry Thomasevich.
Thanks, Patrick. Hi, everyone. I am Jerry Thomasevich, pronouns he, him. I am the Chief of Staff of the Library Foundation SD, and I am the volunteer coordinator for the Libraries and Parks for All campaign. Volunteers are a very key component to any successful campaign, and we're really well positioned to have a great volunteer program because there are so many active and passionate champions for San Diego's libraries and parks, including all of you. So thanks for being here. Leading into the 2024 election, there will be many exciting opportunities for volunteers to get involved, from helping with campaign events to educating the public about the initiative, to fundraising, to turning out voters in November. But before we can get to any of that, we need to qualify for the ballot by collecting those signatures that Ryan was talking about. As you've heard, we'll be working with a professional signature gathering firm to make sure that happens. But I'm sure many of you are like me and will be more inclined to learn about a proposal and sign a petition that comes from a friend. Additionally, each signature that's gathered by a volunteer reduces the cost for the campaign. So we'll be counting on volunteers like you to help spread the word, talk to your communities, and collect signatures. Details will be coming soon about a community kickoff for signature gathering on July 9th, and we'll be mobilizing volunteers at some of the large city events this summer, like the Pride Parade and Comic-Con. And we're excited to work with groups of volunteers like the Friends of the Library to collect signatures at their book sales. And everyone who wants to help will be able to pick up a petition and gather signatures on your own time from your friends, from your family, and your neighbors. For now, the best way for you to get involved as a volunteer is to get on the volunteer email list. If you have not already done that, please sign up at the link that I'm going to drop into the chat in a minute, and then stay tuned for more information over the coming weeks. I'm also always available to answer any volunteer-related questions, and I'll be dropping my contact info into the chat also. So that's it for today, and thanks for being here.
So Jerry, this means that 36 Friends chapters can get involved. This means that the Friends of Balboa Park can get involved. This means that traditional park goers can get involved. Everyone can get involved in this in a volunteer level, yes.
Absolutely, and they'll be the most successful messengers for this, the people that are most intrinsically involved with the library and the parks.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. As both Jerry and Ryan alluded, the signature gathering process is going to take 6 months, and there will be some considerable costs that are associated with that. And to talk a little bit about the fundraising, our fundraising goals, and some early events that we have coming up, I want to introduce Sarah Conio.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm excited to be here and to give a quick update on where we're at with fundraising and events. As Ryan alluded to, this is going to be an expensive effort. It can cost anywhere between $5 and $8 per signature, and the market can change quickly based on external factors. To qualify by this November, we anticipating needing to raise and spend over $500,000, so we're going to need a lot of support. Our first event is going to be on Tuesday, May 24th at the lot located in Liberty Station from 5 to 7 p.m. We encourage everyone here to come, and please invite your friends. Our goal is to raise $250,000 before July 9th, which is when we will launch our signature gathering. With that, I'd like to toss the mic over to Michelle Anderson, the chair of the San Diego Parks Foundation.
While we're waiting for him to come on, can I ask you, Sarah, just a really quick question? This
Sure.
is the Citizens Initiative is different than other political campaigns, correct?
Correct.
And we do know that there are, various regulations that dictate how money can be donated to political campaigns.
Mhm.
Are there some nuances here that work in our favor?
Yes, so every jurisdiction has different rules, but when it comes to citizen initiatives, we can accept money from individuals, from corporations, from PACs. Basically, anyone who wants to write a check can write a check, and we're not restricted to any dollar amounts as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Michelle.
Thank you, Patrick. And I want to thank everyone for being here and joining us today. I'd like everybody to know how inspired and passionate I am by the broad community interest in this effort. When we are successful, we will create transformative and lasting change for so many in our community. Better parks, better libraries for all San Diegans. But now we need your help. How can you help, you ask yourself? Well, the first thing you can do is to talk it up. talk to your friends, tell your associates about this effort. Can your organization that you represent make an endorsement of our efforts? And can Patrick or can I help you secure that endorsement with the organization that you're affiliated with? Soon, we hope to put together a speakers bureau, but until then, I can assure you that you will have my personal attention and that of Patrick Stewart to come to help you secure the endorsement of your group or association. Can you attend the May 24th event at the lot in Liberty Station and make a contribution? No contribution is too small. There is no limit on the amount. We can accept personal, corporate, or business checks. Everything will be reportable. So we hope that you can join us at the lot on the 24th of May. And most importantly, can you volunteer to collect signatures? Because we have to qualify. Before we can put the campaign together, we have to qualify the measure for the ballot. So if you can do any of these things, we need you. So please look in the chat for the link to the May 24th event at the lot at Liberty Station. If you would like to volunteer, look in the chat for the link to sign up on our website, librariesandparksforall.com. And with that, I'll turn the mic back over to Patrick Stewart, who can moderate the question and answer episode.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I can't emphasize that enough. We are happy to come and speak to you, your organization, and talk at great length about how important this is. As you can tell, this is something that we are very passionate about. Please do drop some questions in the chat if you'd like. I do have a couple of questions already that I'll answer. The first one, Renee is asking if is the language of the initiative defined, and if so, where can we see it? It is going through a final legal review just to make sure that the requisite I's are dotted, T's are crossed, dates are correct. And as Ryan had mentioned, it will be published. It has to be published at least 21 days in a newspaper, at least 21 days prior to the start of the signature gathering. So it will be published that way, and it will be on the Library Parks for All website. Another question has come up about accountability. How do we ensure that the money that's raised is going to the projects that need it the most? As many of you may know, the Parks Department recently completed its master plan and was approved by City Council. And the Library Department is currently in the process of completing its master plan. And then the city has also done an audit on parks and libraries maintenance backlogs. And so we've got a couple of things that are outlining priorities that the money is desperately needed for. And those priorities, again, outlined in these two master plan documents. And it is intended that the two departments annually will get together, and with those documents as guiding, with those plans as guiding documents, will identify how to spend the money annually. We'll submit that annual proposal to a joint committee of the library and parks commissions. And upon approval of that, they will make the recommendation to the city that money then is used for those projects. The money will not be able to be used to supplant any of the existing general fund operating money that the city gives to the two departments. And so this is not going to lessen the money that they currently receive. It will add to the money that they currently receive and will be directed specifically to the priorities that are outlined annually by the heads of the two departments. There will be audits throughout each year and a significant audit at the end of each year before the next round of proposals are being submitted. So we're taking every step to ensure that this money goes directly to the priorities that are outlined by the departments with significant citizen input. Happy to talk a little bit more about that as best I can, but the details of that are outlined in that ballot language. That's a good question. Renee asked, will the funding be used for both general funding and CIP projects? It will predominantly, again, be used for the projects that are outlined in the 2 master plans. However, what is unique with the parcel tax is that the money that's raised through the parcel tax can be used towards operations in addition to bricks and mortar and capital improvement projects. And I think that that's a very important thing to understand. It's not enough, as our library director, Mr. Jones, says, it's not enough to have a nice building and be open. It's what you do when it is open. And is it staffed appropriately? And is the operations effectively serving the community as best they can? The third question that I received is, what is the length of time? So this proposal will have the parcel tax exist for 30 years. And again, it will raise roughly $40 to $45 million each year for a total of $1.2 billion to be used over that span of time to address some very significant needs that both the parks and the libraries have. Do we have any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. Oh, there is another question. During the Great Recession and during COVID, budgets were reduced. Yes, they were. Budgets were reduced. And but those are the general fund obligations that the city makes to each of the 9 city departments. And the budgets for all of the departments were affected by the lack of revenue that came in during COVID-19 and during the Great Recession. What's important here is that the effort that we're putting forth is money, again, that doesn't go to offset cuts. It doesn't go to offset the obligations that the city has during its general fund budgeting process. It is safeguarded against those unfortunate, financial times during a city's life. And so instead we can, again, direct this money towards the projects and programs that are outlined in these master plans. Roger asked, the parcel tax doesn't seem big enough to cover significant projects. It should be more. Roger, I like the way that you think. But what we're doing here is we're creating an opportunity to fill a gap. And there are a variety of ways that the city and its citizens can identify revenue sources to address big issues. This is a big one. And this will significantly assist moving the city and giving the attention of these projects in the right direction. No, $40 million just each year, $40 million in 1 year is not going to cover all of what needs to be done. But what we're doing through both the master plans and through conversations like this, we're asking everyone involved to take a long look at how we invest over time into very important city assets. And this will be one very significant bit of support. And again, it's sustainable for 30 years. That's what that does not happen during a annual general fund budget cycle. So what we're doing is looking at sustainable sources of funding. Michelle, could you address this? Roger asked, to cover inflation, can't the parcel tax be adjusted every few years?
Yeah, I think we've attached a consumer price index increase annually to the collected parcel tax. And in addition, with Roger's previous question about, and I agree with you, Patrick, I like the way that Roger thinks. We would have loved to have made this a 10 cents tax per square foot, or 5 cents or 4 cents, but we decided to go with a modest, paltry 2 cents. And there's nothing that would prevent us from getting together as a coalition in years to come to increase it. There's nothing legally that would prevent us from doing that. And it is our hope that we pass this next in 2024 with a very large majority. And that will give us, I think, the the ability to consider increasing the parcel tax. So that's why we wanted to start low rather than high. Roger, I hope you understand that and appreciate it.
Every community and every citizen in the city of San Diego benefits from quality libraries and quality parks. And it's important to us that, you know, my next door neighbor feels comfortable about making, again, a modest investment into these very important city assets. To be able to create something that's that equitably invites everyone to participate in and feel good about contributing to is very important. Steve asked, while the funds from the parcel tax are not supposed to allow the city to reduce annual funding, is there any protections to ensure that? Michelle, maybe you want to answer this too. The phrase is escaping me.
Yeah, the phrase is a maintenance of effort. And we've got the legal terminology within the initiative, which will prevent the city from doing just what Renee is asking. So it will be a responsible guidelines that will require the city to spend the parcel money tax, which is collected, to be spent on the projects as Patrick aligned in the park master plan and the library master plan. There'll also be an oversight committee. But I must say that the ultimate responsibility lies in the hands of the city council because they are the ones that are elected by the people. But I think that that is a plus for our coalition because it appears to me as though the elected officials at the city now, they have put parks and libraries to the forefront. So we've never seen anything like this. It took 60 years for the city council, for a mayor and a council to approve a park master plan, 60 years. So I think that that tells us something. It tells us that our elected city officials have become more cognizant of the need for parks and the what they play in people's lives here in San Diego. So we're encouraged by that.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I want to encourage you to please visit librariesparksforall.com. There, you'll be able to receive more information on the effort. You'll be able to donate, and you'll be able to sign up to volunteer. Also, I would like to encourage you to please consider attending our fundraising reception on May 24th at the Lot in Liberty Station between 5 and 7. And thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.